From those 8 million empty houses, a lot of them are in a place where you can't actually save them, right? They've been abandoned for so long, and some of them have been used for trash disposal, as you mentioned. So when you look at them and you just decide to buy one for renovation, how do you decide what makes a good akiya, an akiya worth investing in, where you actually would get something out of renovating the place?
If you want to spend time... So what I'm doing, I'm running Airbnbs, I'm running long-term rentals, and I also live in one. So it really depends on what you want to do with your akiya. Are you looking for a summer holiday home? Are you looking for an investment for long-term? Are you looking for an Airbnb unit? There are many factors that play in. If you want to buy an akiya, you got to do footwork on your own. If you go through a broker or a middleman, Japan is filled with middlemen, and people are going to eat all the money that you could potentially make as an investment unit. So if you would do some footwork on your own, maybe you hire a broker that's like normal. But most of these akiyas, they're not houses brokers want to deal with. So if you dig a little bit, the broker will just find out that they tried to sell a house maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, and it never sold. So it's hidden somewhere. There are other ways. I have some Japanese friends who does this for a living. They do akiya investments, and they go out in the countryside and they buy cheap houses for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. And these are usually houses that no one really wants to deal with them. And there are brokers who just want to get rid of them. So if they would reach the normal market, maybe they would be 4, 5, 6 million yen. But if they sell 100 akiyas for 1 million yen, that's better. But you got to find these brokers specializing in these houses.
And there are also some initiatives, I think, from local governments and cities that set up these akiya banks. Right?
These akiya banks.
Websites that list.
Once they reach the akiya bank, I think it's already too late. I think if you ask the pros, this is not how they find them. If you ask the Japanese akiya investors, this is not how they usually find. There are good cases with people finding good, and I think the initiative is great. I don't think in reality it really works. Because that's for akiya banks, it's not really a bank. It's just the municipality who's utilizing a platform where they sell the akiyas instead of going through sometimes it's run by brokerages or the municipalities, but they're not really run by banks. If you can find a way to buy akiyas without an akiya bank, I think you'll find better properties, and you'll find cheaper properties, and you'll find properties with even more potential.
When you step into one of those places, especially because they are old, what do you look out for? Because I imagine there can be a lot of water damage, there can be termites, there can be, and you mentioned earlier as well in one of your videos that I've seen, a lot of these houses are tilted. They're not straight, or some floors are not straight. So what are the key things to look out for that if you notice them, you're like, maybe not this one?
So I always look at the area. Number one, area is a factor you can't change. Area and then land. Inside the house, I always look for water leaks, and then foundation as well. So roof and foundation, those two are the most important things, I think. Everything else, you can change most of it.
You can find a way around it.
Yeah, but if it's been leaking water for 10 years, in most cases, the wood is gonna rot, and it's not gonna be easy to save it. It's going to be very expensive. Water leaks, foundation, termites. If you buy an old house, there will be termites, but to what extent? Will you have termites crawling in the ceiling or in the roof everywhere? You might as well buy a new house, just tear it down and buy something new.
Is there a way to find out if there are termites to a point where it might be dangerous? No. So it's a gamble.
It's a gamble. And the way you buy a cheap akiya is to make it easy for the seller. So within the framework of what you know, try to do as much research as possible. Be true to yourself and what you need, and make yourself an easy buyer. Make it easy for the seller to sell to you. So do your research, but don't overdo it and don't ask too many questions. If it's a good akiya, it will sell anyway. And you got to trust your gut feeling in a way. You know? I have some experience with this now, but if you don't have experience, maybe you got to hire a pro to come and assess the building, or like an inspector or something, but that costs money as well. And if you buy a house for $5,000, is it worth paying an inspector $5,000 as well? And then you got to pay the real estate fee on top of that. I think the most important thing is, so what you say, 8.5 million abandoned homes. I think even more. I think those numbers are from 2018. In 2022, there will be 22. In 2033, there will be almost 22 million abandoned homes in Japan. And that's only 9 years from now. So while the population is declining, the amount of these abandoned homes are just growing rapidly. And it's a blue ocean. Like, what is Japan going to do with all these houses?
It's untapped potential in a way.
It is. And it's a completely new market. The immigration is growing. The renovation and the DIY culture is also growing, which I find fascinating, which I find really fun, and I see opportunities in that as well. But if you are thinking about buying an akiya, I think it's not about the akiya, it's about the community you buy into, really. If you buy into a community and you contribute to that community, other akiyas will show up. People will support you. You will support them. So if you buy into a community where you're not appreciated, like, you might as well give up. And then you sit there with an old house that maybe you don't like being in and around, and you have no support. But if you buy into a community, like, so many opportunities will arise.
So it's better to buy a place, in your opinion, that is a place you've been to before, a place that you know, and not necessarily, oh, I like this beautiful house in this area, I'm going to renovate this, without knowing where you're going to move into.
If I would to buy a new akiya in the countryside, I would go to the area. I would feel the area. If it's a really beautiful house, you fell in love with the house, it's close to the ocean, you see potential there, I would go around, I would talk to the neighbors, I would say hi, I would feel the local izakaya, I would just eat the local sashimi, I would just feel it and trust your gut, really.